Hi everyone, Tommy here. So today I'm going to show you something very good and something special that I have in my nostalgic memories from past decades. That's right, I'm going to talk about my toys. So anyway, enjoy. So I'm going to start off by my favourite plush and one of my favourite toys, the Petunia plush. The plush version of my favourite Happy Tree Friends character. She was beautiful, she was sweet, and she was actually a cute skunk, just like Fifi from Tiny Toon Adventures. So, onto the toys. So, here are the toys I have in my collection from boxes. That was the two-headed King Rex from the original Yu-Gi-Oh! That was like a two-headed dragon. Pretty awesome design. I like the details and something like that. And you know what? I really like dragons and dinosaurs. Well, if you guys don't like dinosaurs, I'm fine with your thoughts. And there was another toy in my box. It was the Wes Collins flip head action figure. Yep, Wes is one of my favorite Red Rangers of all time. And this is why Time Force is actually one of my favorite Power Rangers seasons, and still one of the darkest seasons in the franchise. And next is the action figure of Shane from Power Rangers Ninja Storm. Yeah, this is actually a cool character, but I'm not really a big fan of Ninja Storm because I find that season to be a bit silly and childish, in my personal opinion. If you guys like Ninja Storm, I'm fine with your farts. And next up is the flip head of the Red Zeo Ranger, or Tommy Oliver, played by Jason David Frank. Rest in peace, JDF. And next up is the action figure of Casey from Power Rangers Jungle Fury. One of the most underrated Power Rangers seasons, in my opinion. I remember the time when I watched Power Rangers Jungle Fury with my sister back in 2008. And I had a lot of great memories watching that show. Back in November, before watching Power Rangers Jungle Fury, I watched Dinosaur King. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of Dinosaur King because I find that show to be a bit boring, in my opinion. And to those who like Dinosaur King, I can handle your opinion as long as you can handle mine. And next is the Isis Megazord. Yep, the Megazord from Power Rangers Wild Force. I got that in 2007 at the car boot sale, and it was like a pretty cool looking toy. Yeah, I know a few people hated Wild Force, but there's a few people like me liked Wild Force. If you don't like Wild Force, then your thoughts will be handled. And next is the one and only, our old friend, the knitted character from TV Burp. Yeah, I really miss Harry Hill's TV Burp and Mayday 51's TV Burp. So, it's a pretty interesting character. He makes his debut in and around early 2009. So, I was a bit sad when TV Burp got cancelled. Still a pretty good looking toy. And next up, it was the Dino Thunder Megazord, or the Thundersaurus Megazord. Yeah, I had this toy a long ago because it's a great looking toy. And next up is the Time Force Megazord. I got this for Christmas back in 2002, and I had a lot of great memories because it's a cool looking toy of a cool looking Megazord, in my personal opinion. Next up is the Black Range Dino Thunder Ranger, Tommy Oliver, or Dr. O for short. Yep, Tommy was one of my favourite Power Rangers mentors next to Zordon and Doggy Kruger, or the Shadow Ranger. from Power Rangers SPD. Now, coming up next is the action figure of Lord Zad, the Emperor of Evil. Yep, I got that toy from Respawn 10 years ago. It's a good looking toy, but I like the details and something like that. Yep. Yeah, Zed can be a bit goofier in Season 3, but in Season 2 he started off very evil and very menacing. But I'm so glad that Dino Fury / Cosmic Fury fixed Zed's character, and he still remains as one of the most iconic villains in the Power Rangers franchise. Next up is the action figure of Nick Russell from Power Rangers Mystic Force. This is actually one of the coolest looking action figures I have in my collection. I brought that from Toys R Us back in 2008, and it's still pretty cool. This is actually one of the coolest looking toys in my collection. Toys R Us, we all miss you. And another toy I have in my collection, the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Sorry for the no wings, but it looks actually one of the coolest Yu-Gi-Oh toys I ever had. This is one of Kaiba's most powerful monsters. And I brought that from Benidorm back in 2003, and this is actually quite awesome. Oh, next up is the Garurumon action figure. Yes, this toy can digivolve back to Garurumon, and then Garurumon digivolves into Garurumon again. I got this for Christmas back in 2000. It's still pretty old school, but pretty retro, but pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, I really love wolves. And do you want to know why? Because they're beautiful and majestic, and what's better, what's cool, my OC is a wolf. Next up is the action figure of TJ, the Red Turbo Ranger. Still pretty cool, but the second half of Turbo was okay, but I'm still neutral to Turbo, though. To those who don't like Power Rangers Turbo, then I can handle your opinion. Next is the Swampert figure. I got that from Salou or Spain back in 2007. And I went to Portaventura on my holiday in Salou in 2007. Ah, great times, great memories. And another action figure I have in my collection is another Wes Collins action figure. And it comes with a Vector Cycle. And the Vector Cycle was in that box. And I'm going to show you one of the coolest ones. This is actually one of the coolest vehicles, the Power Rangers vehicle toys I ever had. You can put 2 Power Rangers figures in that one. One figure on the front, one figure on the back, one figure on the front. That was actually kind of cool, isn't it? And next up is Bridge in his Battleizer. This is a toy exclusive one, but now next up is the action figure of Trant, one of the coolest Power Rangers characters in my personal opinion. This is actually one of the coolest Power Rangers suits I've seen so far. And he also appeared in Dimensions in Danger, where he teams up with the Ninja Steel Rangers and the other Retro Rangers like Tommy, Wes, Koda, Gemma, Gia, and Antonio to fight Lord Draven and the Ranger Clown Army. This is actually the coolest looking figures I have. Now next up, Skeletor, He-Man's arch enemy. This is a cool looking figure, and still one of the most memorable villains of all time. Next up, the leader of the Ninja Turtles, Leonardo Cowabunga. This is actually from a 2003 reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And what's really good is every hero has their archenemy, Shredder. One of the most memorable villains of all time. And still pretty awesome. This is actually the cooler looking version of Shredder ever. And he was from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot from 2003. And this is actually by far the coolest Shredder design I've ever seen. Next up is the Gold Beetleborg from Beetleborgs Metallics. I've got this from my birthday, on the day before my birthday back in 2002. Yeah, I really miss the times where most shops and toy shops sold old Power Rangers toys from past seasons. Ah, great times. Oh, and the next one I have is another action figure of the Red Turbo Ranger. What I really like about Turbo is the costumes. Yeah. And next up is Korag. He's actually one of the coolest looking Power Rangers villains ever, in my opinion. Yeah, Mystic Force is a bit meh, in my opinion. But I really like the Zords in the suits, though. Oh, and another figure is the Doggy Kruger figure. Yep. Doggy was my favorite Power Rangers mentor and my favorite sixth Power Ranger of all time. I like the design, like the costume, and I really like the voice. And next up is the Godzilla figure. Yeah, I think Godzilla was actually pretty cool. And he looks like a giant lizard and a dinosaur or a dragon. Oh, oh, nothing else to say here, but here's another toy. The Blue Eyes White Dragon. One of my favourite monsters from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, next to the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, the Egyptian God cards, the Legend God monsters, legendary dragon monsters like Eye of Timaeus, Claw of Hamos, and Fang of Critias, and the Dark Magician. This is actually one of the most iconic monsters from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. You know what? Speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh!, I really like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. It's one of my favourite animes next to Pokemon and Digimon. And one of my favourite anime franchises next to Dragon Ball Z. Wow, I really love anime. Do you? And next up is the legendary Battle Armor He-Man from the classic He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series. This is actually a pretty good toy for He-Man fans and toy collectors. And another toy I have in my collection is Goliath, the main character from the show Gargoyles, Disney's answer to the Batman cartoons. This is a pretty good looking toy. It has wings and a cool design. Oh, and another figure is the Black Ranger Fliphead figure. It's still a good looking toy. Yeah, we all remember the Fliphead toys. There was Zack, and it's morphin time. Mastodon! He morphed into a ranger just like in the show. Yeah, I've been a fan of Power Rangers since the 90s. I'm a bit sad when Power Rangers got cancelled. Next up is my favourite Medabot in the show, Rakusho. Yeah, I saw Medabots back in the day, and I think it's a pretty underrated anime. The design looks cool, and the voice looks pretty awesome. He looks like a mysterious legendary hero, or a warrior, or maybe a Power Ranger. Oh, and the next toy I have in my collection is Tori, the Blue Ninja Storm Ranger, the first blue female ranger of the series. Tori is actually one of the coolest female rangers out there. Oh, and next up is Cassie-chan, the Pink Turbo Ranger. And next up is a Digimon from the 4th season of Digimon. Yeah, I saw one episode of season 4 of Digimon, but I think it's not nearly as good as the first few seasons of Digimon. But the only Digimon series I remember are the first 3 seasons. Well, still a good toy. Next up is Blake, the Navy Thunder Ranger. I really like the design, the costume, and it's pretty cool. And there was Zakram. Next up, Lara Croft, the main character of the Tomb Raider franchise. I got this for Christmas long ago. She was a pretty good-looking character. She's still one of the most famous female video game characters of all time. And next up, Sky, my favorite Blue Ranger of all time. And there's another action figure, Gambit from the X-Men series. And there was the Red Die Ranger. Yes, he was from Die Ranger, a Super Sentai season. Yeah, they never used the Die Ranger suits in season 2 Power Rangers, but they used the Die Ranger suits in Super Mega Force due to Sentai footage. Yeah, I never really liked Mega Force and Super Mega Force, but I think it's not very good. But I watched Power Rangers Mega Force and Super Mega Force the last decade, but I think it's still not a very good season in my opinion. But I really like the suits in Legendary mode. Next up is Sky in his SWAT mode. Yep, SWAT mode was one of my favorite power-ups in the Power Rangers franchise. And next up, Lion-O from the reboot of Thundercats of 2011. Next up, Piccolo, one of the coolest characters in Dragon Ball and one of my favorite characters from the Dragon Ball franchise. Next up, Dylan, my favorite Black Ranger of all time. And he's still one of the coolest Rangers in my opinion. And I have to say about it, RPM is still the darkest Disney season in my opinion, and still the best one out of the Power Rangers seasons. But in my opinion, after RPM, Power Rangers went downhill. In my thoughts, that is. It's kind of a shame that most of great shows went downhill like that. Oh, next up is Jason, the Red Ranger, a flip-head action figure. That was Jason Lee Scott, the original Red Ranger. And he morphed into the Red Ranger, just like in the show. Yeah, those flip head figures are kind of cool looking. And next up, Dai Shi. Still a pretty cool looking villain. And love the design. And the toys. And next up is a dragon with armor and cloth. It's still a pretty cool looking toy and pretty legendary. Oh, next up, the Red Zeo Ranger. And next up, so that was it for today. So I haven't got much else to say. So I will see you next time for more toys to show you. Thanks for watching.